Everything you've been taught about self-love is incorrect. What does loving yourself really mean? So, here's a list of the actual components of self-love that will allow you real understanding of this concept, which is the first step to introducing this practice into your life. I have compiled these components I have discovered over the years while on my journey of self-love, combining them with my own lessons. The 10 components of real self-love. 1. The 5 love languages. How often do you give affection to yourself and fill your own cup? Probably not as often as the care you give to everyone else. So let's change that. The 5 love languages were identified by American author Gary Chapman in his book, The 5 Love Languages: How to Express Heartfelt Commitment to Your Mate. There is a popular test that uncovers your desired emotional fulfillment. It is believed that one language always stands out in making us feel the most loved, even without the others present. Although this was designed for couples, it's actually a great way to understand yourself and your needs on a deeper level, and forms the perfect foundation when starting your self-love practices. You can take the test online by searching 5 love languages, and once you have your result, your job is to give your love language back to yourself. These are the 5 love languages and why they might be important to you. Quality time. You value undivided attention, deep conversations, feeling prioritized, and engaging in meaningful activities. For someone to make time for you while balancing a demanding schedule is a much more beautiful act of love to you than spending money or expressing compliments. You might prioritize looking after others, impressing your boss, or being the fun, easygoing friend. A close friend half listening while scrolling on Instagram or continuous rescheduled plans can make you feel undervalued. This is your hurt language. For your self-love language, you need to start taking that time for yourself. It's easy to get swept up in daily life, errands, obligations, work, but how often do you prioritize doing things you enjoy? Here are some ideas. Make reservations for dinner dates alone. Take a 30-plus minute walk to soak up nature and listen to the birds chirping. Spend an entire evening painting for fun. Solo travel for a whole weekend. Meditate as soon as you wake up to ease peacefully into your busy day. And finally, take a break from everything to do nothing for the day. When we put work and errands first, we are showing ourselves that we are not a priority in our own lives. As uncomfortable as it might feel to begin with, spending time alone regularly makes everything in life clearer. You are more connected to yourself and what you really want. Your happiness becomes a priority, and thus your mental health is already on the mend. In a study done at the University of Reading, researchers found that adults whose solitude was down to personal choice experienced less stress and were more confident in their authenticity. So, it is only when we can sit alone with our own thoughts that we can truly grow as individuals and understand ourselves. If you don't know yourself fully, how could you ever love yourself? Words of affirmation. You like to feel empowered, appreciated, and uplifted. You value people communicating their appreciation towards you, and as a result, a simple, "I'm so proud of you," can make your day. When someone speaks to you harshly or is overcritical of you, it represents your hurt language. For this love language type, it's important to take care of the treatment you are prepared to accept from others and from yourself. You can start practicing recognition by writing a letter to your future self. Think of this as an opportunity to transport yourself through time. What do you hope you've achieved by then? What do you think your older self would miss about your current life? What do you hope your future self never forgets about herself? What reminders can you give her today to show her you'll always be rooting for her? Another way to practice this love language is by celebrating yourself in the way you usually would others. After all, we usually give the love we so deeply crave, so it's time for us to actually make it happen for ourselves. Journaling is the easiest way to affirm your self-love. Write a detailed entry about a time you were proud of yourself. How was it when you got there? Why did this grow your confidence? What did overcoming your self-doubts look like? To make this a weekly habit, you can simply write down what you did well at the end of every week to acknowledge your accomplishments. Complimenting yourself should never be reserved for the big, fancy milestones in life. You are entitled to praise at any point of any day. Just the habit of speaking kinder words to yourself daily can change your life for the better. We often don't realize the harsh language we use to speak to ourselves when all we have done is make a simple mistake. Over time, our self-talk builds the self-perception we're stuck with and can be the difference between a strong foundation of confidence or depending on external validation to feel good about ourselves. Imagine how good life will feel when you become your own cheerleader. Gift giving. Giving presents is the most passionate expression of love in your eyes. The process of learning about a loved one is expressed in figuring out what would add the most value in their life. Seeing their face light up when you've treated them to something and thus showing that they're present in your mind is a major way you show love. However, being given a gift with minimal consideration for your desires, someone forgetting a special occasion, or simply dismissing the idea of giving a bouquet of flowers you walked past in the grocery store is your hurt language. So, when was the last time you splurged on something for yourself? I'm sure you've lost count of the number of times you added something to your wish list but never allocated the time or resources to get it. We can get so wrapped up in the game of saving that we never grant a budget purely for our pleasure. You work hard, you try your best every day, you fought and conquered every problem life has thrown your way, and yet you feel guilty for spending £5 on a festive latte from your favorite coffee shop. Life is for enjoyment, so commit to giving yourself a gift, whether it be in the form of a coffee, a new lipstick, or a red velvet cupcake from your local supermarket. Studies into the psychology behind treating yourself have shown that it helps you to regain a sense of control over your life, while simultaneously feeling happier, cared for, and more confident. This isn't exclusive to spending money, but can be achieved through giving yourself the day off or baking your favorite dessert. When you put everybody or everything else first, you are constantly reinforcing the idea that you have not done enough to earn those small gifts of self-pleasure. But remember, you are always enough. Physical touch. Hugs, hand-holding, cuddles, kisses, and any other form of physical affection make you feel connected. Just a gentle stroke from a loved one while sitting in silence can make you feel wanted. This is because touching causes the brain to release the bonding hormone oxytocin, as well as relieving stress and anxiety. It is often assumed that this love language is only possible to receive from another person. But, once again, being alone does not mean you will go without. Hiding yourself away from the world, others being distant or cold, or attaching to the idea you will only feel connected with a partner by your side is you living out your hurt language. Committing to your singlehood for a while should never equal isolation or a deprivation of physical closeness. Once you master the art of going to bed wrapped up in a fresh duvet and cuddling your favorite pillow, blissfully drifting off to sleep without wishing someone was by your side, you'll find peace in the fact that you are complete and loved as you are on your own. When the time is right, you will allow the person who actually deserves to hold you at night into your life. But until then, you are capable of fulfilling all of your desires. Alternatively, you can book yourself a massage, get a facial, invest in your bed sheets, use a weighted blanket, buy a vibrator, book in for a mani-pedi, or do yoga. This will still gift you those same feelings of love released by our love and happiness hormones. Acts of service. You treasure feeling looked after. Just the thoughtfulness of someone helping with a chore, going out of their way to reduce your workload, or accompanying you on a task to make it more enjoyable means the world. This is all about the experience of feeling looked after and provided for. Someone is showing they care for you through their actions of trying to make your life easier. And that's the most generous act of all in your eyes. On the flip side, someone neglecting your needs or showing disinterest in contributing to your life can make you feel rejected. Acts of service is a wonderful self-love language that will also aid your independence and productivity in all areas of life. Blocking out every Sunday morning to complete your chores and meal plan ahead of a new week is a great way to remove any potential stress for yourself. It's about identifying where you often struggle and actioning a system which creates a more pleasant flow through your days. When you are waiting to be saved by somebody else or anticipating reaching the right time when things will finally be better, You are consigning your present moment to a constant state of suffering instead of taking responsibility for your routine. So, can you reorganize your space, keep your calendar updated, tick off your to-do list, or start habit stacking to free up more time to do the things you enjoy most? After all, this practice is all about ease and fulfillment. I discovered the concept of love languages in my teens and fell in love with the idea, as it made so much sense to me. I've repeated the test many times, and quality time always comes out on top for me. This didn't come as a surprise. It didn't matter how much affection somebody showed me. If they weren't initiating deep conversation in order to understand me more and actually see me for me, I'd feel completely alone in the relationship. So, when I quit dating and started spending time alone, my first instinct was to dine at a restaurant by myself. Absolutely terrifying and awkward, I know, but that's what I really like doing with others, so I gave it back to myself. I'd sit patiently after ordering my food, people watching, and staying present with my thoughts. I'd savor every bite of my favorite meal and have little conversations with myself in my head. It was therapeutic. I was checking in with myself. I knew everything that was going on in my life, so I had all the right questions. It prompted deeper thought about my life and what I wanted from it. 2. Self-acceptance. This is all about fully accepting your strengths, weaknesses, and everything in between. As author Mark Twain put it, the worst loneliness is to not be comfortable with yourself. To master self-acceptance, you must reach a state of mind where you understand that nothing about you is either good nor bad. You are a work in progress, sure, so there are attributes you might love and others you feel you'd like to work on. But overall, this is the act of loving yourself without having to make any changes. As integral as adapting and evolving throughout life is, it should never be our answer to making peace with ourselves. Relying on a full face of makeup, losing weight, making a lot of money, owning a big house, eating healthily, winning awards, or being admired to feel worthy might only be a temporary fix that will keep you in a cycle of chasing the next best thing. You must love yourself unconditionally, or else you give your power away, allowing others to tell you when and whether you are worthy. If you base your self-worth on accomplishments and titles, then the second you miss a gym session or lose a job or relationship, all your self-love slips away with it. There is nothing you need to have to be worthy of love. Where do we get these ideas of what we must do in order to be normal? Because our friends are doing it? Because those are our parents' expectations? Because that's society's idea of living successfully? When did any of those people live your unique path from your individual perspective? Where did those people get their idea of normal? Was it not just another notion passed down by another who couldn't see the importance in contrariety? You are beautiful, lovable, and full of potential, with every one of your idiosyncrasies. We are so consumed with the idea of what we are supposed to be that it holds us back from seeing our true form in all its beauty. You are born with a unique viewpoint, yet you assume it's incorrect when it doesn't match your peers. You have a creative flair that is ready to inspire a stranger on the street, yet you rely on the latest trends to build your outfit every morning. You have the answer to every possible problem you could ever encounter in life, yet you ignore your intuition to ask for advice before every decision you make. So, sit with the discomfort of yourself and understand that the phases when you feel sad, broken, and lazy do not make you any harder to love. They make you human and vulnerable. Self-acceptance begins with trusting oneself and ceasing to prioritize the opinions of others. 3. Self-sufficiency. Independence, the ability to provide for oneself without the aid of others, is a core pillar of self-love because once you can survive and thrive alone, you'll never be stuck with someone's mistreatment of you due to your fear of being alone. Once you remove dependence from your life, you make space for company that exceeds every standard you've ever set. Learning how to be happy on your own and fulfill all your needs allows you the freedom to choose who you want to be with. Plus, it is an essential skill, heightening your confidence and removing any self-doubt. Every time you take on the challenge of completing a task you're unsure of, you prove to yourself that you're smarter than you give yourself credit for. You're more resilient, you're more resourceful than you ever thought. When you are uncomfortable with handling things by yourself, remind yourself of every battle you've fought through, every piece you've picked up when relationships broke, every time you woke up to fight another day despite how you felt. But when you feel frustrated with your solitude and you long to have someone by your side, you will simultaneously disregarding every piece of joy you have been responsible for in your life and your potential. So, start achieving alone, whether it be cooking all your meals, learning DIY, taking driving lessons, improving your financial literacy, or setting up a business. This is another example of the acts of service love language. We are putting our needs first and taking the time to remove the pain from our lives so we can live with minimal tension without waiting for someone else to come along and fix it for us. 4. Self-discovery. This is the act of learning entirely about oneself. Wholly understanding who you are at your core is a severely underrated skill. What fills you up? What could you not live without? What makes you feel loved? What feels comfortable? What scares you? What do you cry about at night? What parts of yourself do you hide away? Do you prioritize others over yourself? Who makes you feel understood and why? How do you pick yourself up after a bad day? What emotions arise when it's your birthday? What do your good days have in common? Take the time to recognize your true self. Your true self is the person you are when you have the entire house to yourself, when you're not worrying about how you look, when you let your goofy side out with your friends, not the masked self you present to the world when you change your outfit last minute out of fear of being overdressed, or speak a different way when meeting new people to appear more likable. Understanding who you really are and where your heart lies will grant you peace and remove the need to seek understanding from others, because now you can reassure yourself on a daily basis. In my own journey to discovering my authenticity, I completely eradicated the need to be perceived as cool, as, in doing so, I had been limiting my expression and opinions. The more I learned about myself, the more I realized how outspoken, loud, passionately aggressive, childish, and enthusiastic I was. Leaning into that energy made me respect myself more because I was following my instincts rather than questioning how each action would be perceived and how I would be defined by everybody else. After all, every single person you know views you differently, through their own lens, which is altered by their individual life experiences, trauma, and mindsets. You are the only one who's been by your side your entire life. You know every trial and tribulation you've been through. No one can ever compete with that. Not your parents, not your sibling, not your childhood best friend. You will know yourself more than anybody else could even try to. But it must be your choice to hone that gift and develop it as time goes on.